integration. Hospitals pulling the doctors in to sort of put them on the same team, to work together so that they can do things better, faster, and cheaper. That's my mantra for today. Better, faster, cheaper. Hospitals increasingly are putting doctors on the team. And doctors across the country, by the way, are volunteering for this. They're saying, please, take me out of my practice. Talk to hospital administrators, CEOs, and they'll tell you it looks like the scene of that last helicopter leaving Saigon when Saigon fell. The doctors trying to get on board. At the same time, we're seeing increasing transparency. Hospitals being pushed by states and by the federal government to put stuff up there on the websites. How many hearts do you do a year? How many of them come back to pump? What are your consumer satisfaction ratings? How much did you actually charge for things? And this is getting tighter and tighter over time. And this is along with rebuilding every process. More and more hospitals are trying things like the Toyota production system and other management systems in which they can actually look at every little process in the hospital and see, does this make sense? Does this help the customer better? This is very much focused on this customer satisfaction, which is something that surprisingly healthcare really has not been about through most of its history. Rebuild every process and standardize everything that can be standardized. Now, I know there's a lot of pushback on this. And what's more, people tend to say, you can't standardize medicine. It's all about the personal judgment of the doctor and the time with the patient. Well, maybe so. You remember Clayton Christensen, who talked about disruptive innovation? Well, he wrote a book recently called The Innovator's Prescription with Two Physicians. And here's a graph that I adapted from their book that gives the sense of that. Now, if you go up this side of the graph, you're talking about the effectiveness of therapy. That is, do you know how to do something about this problem? Along here is diagnostic understanding. That is, do you know what this problem is? So down in this corner, we have things like depression, migraine, Alzheimer's, chronic back pain, schizophrenia, which they're kind of all over the map. And it always has to be about how do you use your judgment. You try this, you try that, you don't know. Up in this corner are things like appendicitis, where you may not know how that happened. Well, you sure know what to do. You take it out. Over this corner are things that we know exactly what's going on. Multi-drug resistant TB. There's no question about what's going on. What do you do about it? A lot more of a question. And up in that corner, you see things like strep throat, kidney stones, fractures, where there's no question what the problem is. That's a broken leg. I see the bone sticking out right now. And you know what to do about it. You set the leg. So their point is, the more something is over in this corner, the more you could standardize it. You could say, this is what you need to do. According to the best medical information, you need to do these 5 steps, or these 10, or whatever. You can turn it into a standardized process. And that means you can put a price on it. You can say, when you've been successful, and you can say, this is how much it should cost. So some of healthcare, at least, is in that, which leads us to things like bundling. Now, this is Joe's knee. This is how much it bends. That's the maximum bend. It's about twice the size of the other knee. Hurts a lot. Okay, so I have a bundled product here, which is Joe's fixed knee. Includes MRI, X-ray, diagnosis, arthroscopy, post-op physical therapy, whatever it takes to fix my knee. How much is it? Which is exactly the way we buy anything else, right? We buy a box that has something in it, and if it doesn't work, we take it back. So it would be possible, and there are experiments happening now in healthcare. He talked about that there was some movement toward making this kind of thing mandatory, but it is really complicated. And yet there are healthcare systems that are doing it on their own. Like one of the prominent ones is Geisinger in northeastern Pennsylvania, in which you bundle together a product and you put a price on it. I think that's a reasonable price to fix my knee. And you make that price real. What if we ended provider discounts? The reality is you can't tell what the price of anything is in healthcare, which is one of the reasons why you have this weird supply driving demand. Because if there's no price in anything, how do you know if you're paying what it's worth? How do you know what you're paying at all? Prices vary all over the place. And even after the fact, you could often not even tell what you paid for. So there is the idea that, and some states actually have passed legislation in which, within certain parameters, this has to be true. You put out a price for a bundled product, and that's a price for everybody. In some states, for instance, I believe Wisconsin, if I walk in off the street and I say, you know, I got this problem and here's my credit card, I don't have insurance, the price I get is their lowest price that they give to an insurance plan, not the highest price they could possibly imagine, which is what is on the charge master. So the end of provider discounts would provide a kind of feedback loop in which it might be possible to actually ask, are you getting what you pay for? The great American conundrum. And then, of course, to do that, you would have to include a warranty. Now, they can't warranty that you won't die, but they can warranty, that would be a guarantee, right? We'll fix you and you won't die. Warranty would be, we do everything that is necessary to make this work. And some places are trying this. Geisinger up in northeastern Pennsylvania did this for its cardiac artery bypass graft. They said, if you come back within the first 90 days, if your doctor has to bring you back in because you've got an infection or some other problem, it's on us. They did that 2 years ago, and because they seriously looked at their processes, they have never had to pay out because nobody has come back to pump in 2 years, which is amazing. So warranties would make a huge difference in the future of healthcare.